Hello, sisters and brothers. Our devotional for today, for June 25, is a reflection on My Utmost for His Highest, a series of devotionals written and compiled by Oswald Chambers. You can always find the link for the daily devotional at utmost.org. And today's devotional is titled Receiving Yourself in the Fires of Sorrow. And for that, we're going to look at a time when Jesus was predicting his own death and how he responded to that. So we're going to turn to John chapter 12, verses 27 and 28. And this is Jesus speaking. Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this very reason I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven. I have glorified it and will glorify it again. Receiving yourself in the fires of sorrow. What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour. But for this purpose I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. John 12, 27 and 28. As a saint of God, my attitude towards sorrow and difficulty should not be to ask that they be prevented, but to ask that God protect me so that I may remain what he created me to be, in spite of all my fires of sorrow. Our Lord received himself, accepting his position and realizing his purpose in the midst of the fire of sorrow. He was saved not from the hour, but out of the hour. We say that there ought to be no sorrow, but there is sorrow, and we have to accept and receive ourselves in its fires. If we try to evade sorrow, refusing to deal with it, we are foolish. Sorrow is one of the biggest facts in life, and there is no use in saying it should not be. Sin, sorrow, and suffering are, and it is not for us to say that God has made a mistake in allowing them. Sorrow removes a great deal of a person's shallowness, but it does not always make that person better. Suffering either gives me to myself or it destroys me. You cannot find or receive yourself through success because you lose your head over pride. And you cannot receive yourself through the monotony of your daily life because you give in to complaining. The only way to find yourself is in the fires of sorrow. Why it should be this way is immaterial. The fact is that it is true in the scriptures and in human experience. You can always recognize who has been through the fires of sorrow and received him or herself, and you know that you can go to them in your moment of trouble and find that he has plenty of time for you. But if a person has not been through the fires of sorrow, he is apt to be contemptuous, having no respect or time for you, only turning you away. If you will receive yourself in the fires of sorrow, God will make you nourishment for other people. I really like this devotional as much as I don't like the experience of sorrow, or the fires of sorrow as Chambers titles it. But it's been something that's been true, certainly in my life and possibly in yours, that I have a great deal of skepticism for people who either have not gone through difficulty or present themselves in such a way that they show themselves as having it all together. Let's just put it that way. And the reason I'm skeptical and cautious with those people is because I don't know if they've really figured out who they are. As Chambers points out, the fires of sorrow and the difficulties of life don't always make a person better, but it certainly does reveal something about them. We talked a couple days ago about this idea that we might just be able to do good and just serve Jesus and no trouble will come our way and not wrestle with the fact of sin, but we also have to wrestle with the reality of sorrow and suffering. It's a fact in our life experience, and who we are is revealed through that process. And if you've experienced that, you know what I'm talking about. If you're experiencing that now, you may not find this very comforting, except in the fact that God is there and able to bring you through it. He's able to shield you during that time. There's nothing in the Bible that tells us we're going to be shielded and kept from difficulty. In fact, quite the opposite is true. So we have to remember who is there for us, what is the purpose of it. And if we can receive ourselves, if we can come to embrace what we find in how God has made us when we go through the difficulties of sorrow. Just as Chambers says, we become a nourishment to others. We become that person who's able to help someone else who's gone through that. And Chambers is right. We know the people that we can go to when we're having difficulty, and they will make time for us. And what can happen as we receive ourselves when we go through these difficulties is that we become that person for others. Thank you as always for listening. Be safe and stay well.